Americana writer, Gonzo Education. I sped him while streaming on a Hawaiian vacation. Unworn white Levi's were covering his femur until he covered them with coffee and creamer. Mr. G, Mr. G, Mr. G, Mr. G, he's your average teacher, gone IRL streamer. Mr. G, Mr. G, Mr. G, Mr. G, he's your average teacher, gone IRL streamer. Mr. G, he's your average teacher, gone IRL streamer. Mr. G, Mr. G, Mr. G, Mr. G, he's your average teacher, gone IRL streamer. Mr. G, 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 Mr. G. Mr. G, Mr. G, Mr. G, Mr. G, he's your average teacher, gone IRL streamer. Mr. G, Mr. G, Mr. G, Mr. G, he's your average teacher, gone IRL streamer. Americana writer, Gonzo Education. I sped him while streaming on a Hawaiian vacation. Unworn white Levi's were covering his femur until he covered them with coffee and creamer. Mr. G, Mr. G, Mr. G, Mr. G, he's your average teacher, gone IRL streamer. Mr. G, Mr. G, Mr. G, Mr. G, he's your average teacher, gone IRL streamer. Mr. G, Mr. G, Mr. G, Mr. G, Mr. G, he's your average teacher, gone IRL streamer. Mr. G, Mr. G, Mr. G, Mr. G, he's your average teacher, gone IRL streamer. Mr. G, 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 Mr. G. Mr. G, Mr. G, he's your average teacher, gone IRL streamer. Mr. G. Mr. G, Mr. G, Mr. G, Mr. G, he's your average teacher, gone IRL streamer. Mr. G, Mr. G, Mr. G, Mr. G, he's your average teacher, gone IRL streamer. Mr. G, 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 Mr. G.
Hi, I'm Mr. G. Welcome to my class. Aloha, as I say. Oh no, my fly is down. X, Y, Z. Happy Columbus Day, everybody. If you weren't familiar, this is who Christopher Columbus is. And in today's short lecture, we're going to determine, or we're going to discuss whether Christopher Columbus was good or bad. Or we could just fucking hang out. I don't know. But here's the thing. I'll start off with a quote. It's one of my favorite this quote. You either die the hero, or you live long enough to become the villain. Christopher Columbus used to be a hero. Now he's a villain.
Big block, what's up, Mrs. J?
Hey, Big Block. Hey, Mrs. J. Hey, Flowers. Aloha, everybody. Is Lita Cat in the class today?
Mrs. J, the mermaid, go down, Big block.
It's Monday. It's Columbus Day. So I already hear the little kids yelling. What a weird time. Can't they just open up the schools so these kids can, like, go somewhere? But anyways, let's get a little learning music. Hey, Google, play some study music.
All right, here's a Pandora station called Studying Instrumental Focus.
Okay, that sounds good. Hey Google, volume 5. Thanks again, Flowers. One of the best gifts I ever had.
Flowers and Harriet, hi, Big block.
Okay, guys, so I didn't say continue music.
Hi, Mr.G, and Cat.
Hey, Lita. So, today's Columbus Day. We're going to determine whether Christopher Columbus was good or bad. Most people will probably say bad.
Flowers and Harriet, YW.
Columbus. Good or bad? Well, as we learned from the quote today, you either die the hero or you live long enough to become a villain. Now, Christopher Columbus, if he had a time machine, and if he went back to the 50s, the 60s, the 40s, any time before that, the early 1800s, any time from the 1800s until 1970s, late 70s, early 80s. The anti-Columbus rhetoric did not start until the late 70s, early 80s. So the thing is, Christopher Columbus, he was the hero. Christopher Columbus was the hero for hundreds of years, you know. It wasn't until recent history where he became the villain, and rightfully so. So we could say, what we're going to do, we're going to start off by saying a few good things that he's done and a few bad things that he's done, okay? So the history, the overall, he was put up on a pedestal because of lies and misinformation by teachers, actually. Teachers taught students wrong information about Christopher Columbus. One of the main things that was taught to me as a child as well is that Christopher Columbus, everybody knows he sailed the ocean blue in 1492. Right? Everybody knows that. And they say when I was growing up, they said, oh, and he thought the earth was round, and everybody thought the earth was flat. But that's not true. The majority of educated people at the time knew that the earth was round. Christopher Columbus, in 1492, he thought the earth was smaller than it was. He thought the circumference of the earth was smaller than it actually was. But it goes back all the way to Aristotle was the first person to come up, with the earth being round. So the majority of people knew that the earth was round at that time.
Countryman, he worked with the Vatican elite, that's a fact. And was in cahoots with the royals who slaughtered thousands of Jews during the diaspora in Spain and Portugal.
Okay, well,
Countryman, that's what I know about Columbus.
Countryman, that's a new information to me. This is a basic education course, so we're not going to go too much in detail. Right now we're going to go over the good and the bad on the overall surface. So, when Columbus arrived here, let's look at the map for a second, class. Hey, countryman, good to see you too. Okay, so does anybody in the class, I know it's Monday, it's a slow day, everybody, you know, wants to go home and play video games and everything, but who in the class knows where? Well, Columbus made a few different voyages to the United States, right? Am I right? Okay. If I can get your attention over here for a second, class. Okay, so he made 4 different voyages. I actually feel, let's go and turn off the AI assistant here. Well, I'll leave it so I can still find my face, I guess. Okay, so he took 4 major voyages, Christopher Columbus did. Now the most interesting voyage to me is his final voyage, because he took that voyage to the Caribbean. All of his trips were to the Caribbean. All right, now I'm going a little off here. I'm not on, I don't have an outline. I know a lot about the subject. This is one of the, you'll get a few lectures of these. I do 5 lectures a week, so you'll get a few lectures like this. I know a lot about this subject, but I didn't organize it to where I'm going to talk about everything. It's going to be mixed around. You're going to get a lot of information in this hour, but it's going to be a bit mumble-jumbled. Okay, so Christopher Columbus made 4 different trips to the Americas. However, he never actually went to North America. So as you can see right here in the green, this is North America. This is Mexico. Well, this is the United States in the green. And green and the purple is North America. Right here, this is Central America, where it goes green, orange. These are countries: Guatemala, El Salvador, Honduras, Nicaragua, Costa Rica, Panama. And then over here, you have the West Indies, class. Now, why do they call them the West Indies? Because even though it's never documented, Christopher Columbus was intentionally trying to sail to India. And so he called them Indians, even though he knew that he didn't really, he knew that where he was at wasn't India. He was a smart guy, and he knew it wasn't India. Okay? So Christopher Columbus came from over here. All right. Is somebody knocking? He was born in Italy. Well, he was actually born up here in Torino, which was actually a country of its own at the time. He couldn't get the money to sail through Italy, and so he trashed England and France, and they all said no. And then he asked Portugal. Well, then he was hired by Portugal as a merchant marine. All right, so he worked for Portugal for a little while. And then he was already older, and like 10, 15, 20 years had passed. And then finally he asked King Ferdinand of Spain. And then King Ferdinand and Isabella, they're really wanting to compete with Portugal, because Portugal at the time had just recently conquered these islands that nobody had gone to before, like the island of Azores. When I was receiving my teaching certificate, there was a girl named Sarosa, and they asked her why her name is Sarosa, and she said it because it's Azores backwards. But anyways, so when Portugal started capturing all these islands as well as down here, and Portugal was going as far. Well, Portugal, eventually hits up Brazil and takes over Brazil. But at this period, Portugal started going as far south as like some of the African countries and stuff. And so Spain really wanted to compete with Portugal. So they're like, okay, Christopher Columbus, we'll give you 4 ships. The Eva Marie, the Santa Maria, and the Pinta. And there's one other that I'm forgetting. Okay? So they give him 4 ships and the money. And he's like, oh my God, I finally get to go to America. or he doesn't. It's not called America yet. America Vespucci is still in grade school at this time. All right. So Columbus's first journey, and he goes over here, and he these are the places that Columbus hits in his journeys, right? Right. So he goes here to where was the first place? Hispaniola, which is this is Hispaniola right here. It's Haiti and Dominican Republic now, but it's the island of Hispaniola, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, you can correct me if I'm mistaken. All right. And then I think he went to the Bahamas, and then he went to Central America, and somewhere in South America. Maybe somewhere around like Brazil or somewhere. Here, I have it on the map here. Hey, Lita. So as you can see, his first voyage in 1492 was in red right here. That's Hispaniola right there. And then 1493 to 1496, so he went back, and then what happened was, during the first voyage, back to story time with Mr. G. So, what happened was, Christopher Columbus was sailing to America with his brother Bartholomew, right? Okay. They land somewhere, I'm not really sure the exact spot, and it was where the Taino people are. I'm not sure which island, but somewhere around the island there was some inhabited by Taino people. And Christopher Columbus was brutal to those people, and he ended up kidnapping two of them, and this is his first voyage. And then while he's there, that Taino people has some gold jewelry, and he's like, I like that. Where can I get more of that? And so they're like, oh, like all around the islands here. And so he goes around the Caribbean searching for gold and stuff. And then they shipwreck into Hispaniola. And remember, he had 4 ships with him at the time during this first voyage. So they shipwreck into the beach at Hispaniola. And so Christopher Columbus is forced to leave 39 of his men, and 39 of his men, and he says he'll come back for them, right? And so he gets like the little bit of gold, and he goes back to the Americas, and he's like a hero. And everybody's like, Christopher Columbus, and everybody knows who he is because he went and discovered the New World, and then came back and told about it. He was the first person to do it. So even though he's a horrible tyrant, you have to give him credit for that.
Mr.G live TTS.
Oh, I guess the chat has to keep moving or the computer freezes. It sounded like one of my neighbors just yelled out Lita.
Big Rock GX.
Guys, you gotta keep on.
GX.
Thanks, I appreciate it. Just keep on moving the chat or I have to keep on resetting the thing. Alright, anyways, where was I? So Christopher Columbus, on his first voyage, he leaves 39 of his men, and then he goes back to Spain, and he's a hero all throughout Europe because he discovered the New World. After that, he inspired... Hey, Muzza. He inspired many other... He inspired many other explorers like American Vespucci and LaSalle and Captain Cook. But this was, like I said, in 1492. So he comes back, or he gets to Spain, and he's like a hero. And during the it's okay, Flowers. And during the first voyage, he had 4 ships. During the second voyage, after he came back with the very little gold that he had, Christopher Columbus lied and said there was way more gold, but he couldn't get to it all. And so Ferdinand and Isabella was like, okay, we'll give you 17 ships, and you're Admiral of the Americas, you know? And then he's like, Christopher Columbus, like, I promise I'll plant a flag on North America, the flag of Spain. And so what happened? Did America become colonized by Spain? No, not at all. You know, if anything, the few colonies that Spain did acquire during this time period in the West Indies, the United States ended up taking back, the Spanish Civil War. I mean, not the Spanish Civil War, the Spanish-American War. But anyways, during this time period, so Christopher Columbus was a con artist. There wasn't that much gold. He just wanted to, all the ships and all the money. And he never put his flag down on Spain, for Spain. He never even went to North America. See, now Christopher Columbus is admired in North America. There are cities named Columbus, Ohio, Columbus, Mississippi. There's cities named Columbus, Ohio. There's street names named Columbus, and he's revered. Another reason is when they initially started Columbus Day, that also corresponded to saying the Pledge of Allegiance in school. So Christopher Columbus had always been associated with as a patriot, even though he never had been to North America and the country didn't exist when he was here. However, when Columbus Day became a big infraction in the United States, one of the implementations of Columbus Day in public schools was saying the Pledge of Allegiance, not just on Columbus Day, but on every day. And the kids would ask, why do we say that Pledge of Allegiance, Mrs. Rah-Rah? Mrs. Mrs. I don't know, man. I don't know, dude, guys. I'm sorry. But it's like I know I'm doing a good presentation. I know this subject really well. But I look out in the class and all I got is Peach staring around the corner, it's not a class. It looks like it's a class, but okay, let's just, all right, so let's just get back to the subject at hand. So, why was Christopher Columbus revered in the United States? Why was he put up on a pedestal? Okay, well, during this time, there was a lot of immigration from Italy.
This is very interesting.
A lot of Catholics from Italy. Oh, let me go and put on the things here. Maybe that'll make it a little bit more.
Lita, you're great, Mr. PG.
Thank you, Flowers. Thank you, Lita. Okay, so, during this time period, have you guys ever heard of the Knights of Columbus? It used to be a really large Catholic political organization, and they got their name because Columbus was Catholic and he was from Italy. During this time, there was a lot of Italian Catholic immigration, and so Columbus was somebody that was really celebrated. You look at one of the high-density Catholic and Italian areas was New York City. You had neighborhoods that were...
I thought Colombo was a show.
Thanks, Pirate King. Good to see you. You had neighborhoods in New York City that were entirely Italian immigrants, and all they spoke was Italian. And Christopher Columbus was revered there because he was Italian and he was Catholic. And you look at the Columbus Parade in New York City. It used to be a huge deal. Still to this day, Christopher Columbus is, Columbus used to be like Columbus butter, Columbus coffee, Columbus soda pop. Columbus was on like a dollar bill. Columbus was like part of American history, even though he had never been to America. He had been to the Caribbean, and he had enslaved and kidnapped people in the Caribbean. I think over 50,000 natives died during the 10-year period. So the overall argument, was Columbus good or bad? He was definitely bad. He was very bad. He had some good qualities, but he was overall like an evil dude. And also, he was revered because a lot of people didn't document him because of false knowledge, because of bad teachers teaching bullshit, teaching lies. Christopher Columbus, everybody knew the Earth was round at that time.
You Mr.G live stream popped out on my recommended well on seeing you since 2019.
During that time, when I was growing up, like I said, teachers would teach their kids oh, Christopher Columbus, he knew the earth was round and he was smarter than everybody thought it was flat. And that's not true. Everybody knew the earth was round. Christopher Columbus made friends with the natives. They were very friendly to him.
The best teacher in Hawaii.
It's like, no, Christopher Columbus kidnapped and enslaved them. And then on his second voyage, he put his brother Bartholomew in charge of Hispaniola. And then he went back, and it was like a total hellfire, dumpster fire. And
Okay, but that was the norm for the time, to conquer.
the native people were rebelling and everything, and so
Mr.G, the mermaid red apple.
Christopher Columbus kidnapped them and forced them into slavery. So all they had to do was search for gold all day. It was all about gold, and if they didn't find enough gold, they'd get their arm cut off. Christopher Columbus was a terrible person. During these 4 voyages, from 1492 to 1504, I think, so about a 10-year period, 50,000 people, 50,000 natives on the island of Hispaniola died. 50,000, that's a lot at the time. Also, growing up, teachers tell us, oh, Columbus discovered America. There were literally millions of people there were millions of people in North America at this time. Millions. How could he have discovered anything? That doesn't make any sense, And besides the fact, the Vikings had been to Nova Scotia, Newfoundland.
511 WTF.
No, 1492 to 15. Oh, never mind.
Mr.G, the mermaid
1504.
Lee Ferguson, Christopher Columbus.
So,
Flowers in her eye, 50K.
yes, exactly, Erickson. See, Newfoundland is right here. See, the Vikings actually discovered Newfoundland, which is the closest part of North America. You see, the Vikings actually discovered it before Columbus did, and despite discovered, there was also Inuit
Lord
people.
Hines, my favorite class is when
living there.
Mr.G teaches us to be he.
Hey, Lord Hines. So the fact of the matter is, he didn't discover anything. There was already people here.
Big Rock, 50K.
Christopher Columbus was known and remembered because he established the link, the first person to go to the New World and go back. And he had to try and try again. Like I said, he tried to get money from Spain, he tried to get money from England, he tried to get money from France, and everybody turned him down. And then finally, the Queen and King of Chicago. The Queen and King of Chicago. The Queen and King of Spain finally granted him the money that he needed for his journey. As far as Christopher Columbus being a bad dude, I told you him and his brother Bartholomew, they took over Hispaniola. That's the very first European colony. It didn't survive. Like I said, all 39 men that Christopher Columbus left there, they all perished. So it's the first colony, unsuccessful colony in North.
Even Vespucci put over Columbus in terms of success and shocks and modernization by means of trade routes and efficiency.
But overall, as far as Christopher Columbus was being judged by his peers at the time, after the second and third voyage, where Hispaniola just goes up in flames and 50,000 Taino people die, he comes back to the Spain, and the king and Bartholomew and people have been writing about what's been going on, and what he was doing is he was capturing and enslaving people. He'd convert them to Christianity, which was big at the time, and then he'd enslave them. And that was the biggest thing that upset the king and the queen, is enslaving people, is converting people to Christians and then enslaving them.
His team were responsible for completing the Indochina trade routes far before the Suez Canal.
So what he did was, he was tried. Him and his brother were charged in Spain with mistreatment of the native people in Hispaniola, and they were tried and sentenced to jail. They were sent to jail for what they did during that time, which had to have been pretty bad, considering you could literally get away with murder in 1492, right? And so they finally let him out of jail in the early 1500s. And then, like I said, the journey that interested me the most was his last journey, because he died a year after. And what he did was he spent 2 years driving. He spent 2 years going around the Caribbean here.
Flowers in her eye. Oh, wow, I did not know that.
So his last journey, his fourth journey, he came over around here to the Caribbean, and he sailed around Cuba and went to Central America, you know, and went down over to Haiti and Jamaica. You know, he got some local weed there, you know, and then I'm just kidding, they didn't have weed back then. And then, you know, or maybe they did. And then Puerto Rico, you know, Puerto Rico. No, but he sailed around there, and that must have been something, you know. And that's how he lived out the last years of his life. You know, he's like, let me take one more trip, you know. He was in Spain, in jail in Spain. And then he's like, King, come on, let me out so I can just go one more time. Come on. They're like, you've already been 3 times. He's like, just one more time. Just one more time. And they're like, okay. And he's like, all right. Out on the highway, looking for adventure, and whatever comes my way. Hey, Cuba, what's up, Eddie? He said, what's up to his brother. He may have stopped in the Yucatan. He stopped in Mexico, I think. He didn't go to North America. Yeah, he couldn't have gone to Mexico. So he must have like just went around Haiti here and just like cruised. He did go to Central America. He did go to Central America, and he did go to South America. And then he went back to Spain, and he's like, all right, I had a good run. I went to North America, or I went to the Americas 4 times. I went to Central America. I went to South America. I went to the West Indies. I cruised around Jamaica and shit. And then, you know, in North America, I never had a chance to go to North America, but they're going to worship my ass for a long time until I become an enemy, until I become the villain. Because, you know, I'm Christopher Columbus, and I used to be a cool dude, and people used to like me. They used to put statues of me everywhere. But you know what happened to those statues? They're not good anymore. People are ripping them down. People don't like Christopher Columbus no more. People are pouring red paint all over my face. People are being mean to me, and I'm just a dead old white guy. Why you gotta pour paint on my face? All I got is those statues, man. Why you gotta be so mean to Christopher K? Come on, yo. All right. Okay, so Christopher Columbus is not respected anymore, and he's not liked anymore either. But at a time, I would say some people still do respect him. Some people still do like him. With the credit to Christopher Columbus, I can tell you this: at this time, Europe was being invaded by Muslim conquerors. During the invasions of Muslims. Muslims were invading Europe, and particularly Spain. What Christopher Columbus did, he re-energized a dying Europe, you know, and Europe had something to strive for, and they had the new land, the new Americas, and you know, it's something that, like I said, inspired many other explorers. And it must have been, I would have been one of the people that explored at the time, I think, you know. But yeah, so right now I'm going to play a clip for you guys. This is from a television program. No, this is from The Sopranos. And Tony...
Why does he have a holiday if he's not respected?
Well, he is respected by a lot of people. Like I said, the holiday came about with the Knights of Columbus. And the Knights of Columbus was a Catholic organization, mainly Italian, that really respected Christopher Columbus. And what they did was they convinced FDR in 1937, don't get me wrong, to make it a national holiday. And FDR at the time, in 1937, when the country was trying to get out of the Great Depression, like this was just a thing every day, you know, like, oh, what's today? Oh, well, let's build the Hoover Dam. What's tomorrow? Oh, let's have a new holiday. We'll call it Columbus Day. What's the next day? Well, Columbus Day, now we're going to say Pledge Allegiance every day, you know? So yeah, that's the reason why it's a national holiday, because the Knights of Columbus petitioned Franklin Delano Roosevelt. It was also an election year as well. He wanted the Catholic vote, Catholic immigrations, and particularly the Catholic immigrants from Italy. were really popular for him at the time. He was former governor of New York City, and as I told you guys earlier in the lecture, the majority of these Catholic Italian immigrants were located in New York City, you know, in the East Coast. Maybe some in Boston.
Lord Hines, I don't believe that's accurate.
Maybe some in Boston. Maybe some, Lord Hines, you get timed out. That's 100% accurate. And now, right now, I'm going to play a clip for The Sopranos before we are interrupted by Lord Hines, and I totally answered your question and fucking totally made myself look fucking smart as fuck there, and you tried to be an asshole and say it and doubt my credibility. Look it up, motherfucker, Lord Hines. It is accurate, bitch. Look up the Knights of Columbus, look up Franklin Delano Roosevelt, and look up why we have a Columbus fucking Day holiday, asshole. Before you fucking say that before you question my fucking credibility, bitch. Seriously, I don't want you to fucking question that again. Is Lord Hines a moderator? Don't fucking, I answered your question like boom! Seriously, now I'm gonna get some water and you guys are gonna listen to a soprano clip. Lord Hines, I'm not forgetting that.
Mrs.G, the Mermaid 3XL. Ricky, lol.
I'm the fucking teacher here. This isn't the Lord Hines fucking classroom.
No.
If you question anything I say, you either fucking look it up or get the fuck out.
Alex, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to trigger you, Mr.G. Pirate King, did Columbus have any kids?
Google pause music. Hey Google, pause music.
Ricky, imagine kids really thinking it's a real tutorial class and then around.
This is a real fucking class. I just fucking curse, asshole.
Countryman, he was in cahoots with the elite at Pirate King, of course he did. And probably 40 wives too. Alex, I'll go down with my opinion.
And make them do whatever we want. That doesn't sound like a slave trade to you?
What the fuck?
His history teacher, Mr. Cushman, is teaching your son that if Columbus was alive today, he would go crimes against fiction.
Ricky, wow.
It's not just like, it's the truth. It's in my history book.
Why is this not fucking playing loud?
Tell me then, evil. Ricky, yes, it is real, but not family-friendly law.
With 50 men,
Evil?
we can subjugate them.
There's nothing evil about this class, and if you even suggest that, I
And
would
make
ask
them
you
do
to leave.
whatever we want. That doesn't sound like a slave trade to you?
George Washington had slaves, the father of our country.
Well, what's your
I like
point?
this, it's wholesome.
His history teacher, Mr. Cushman, is teaching your son that if Columbus was alive today, he would go on trial for crimes against humanity like Milosevic in, Europe.
Your teacher said that.
It's not just my teacher, it's the truth. It's in my history book.
Hey,
So you finally read a book and it's bullshit.
Tony,
Look, you had to walk in Columbus's shoes to see what he went through. People thought the world was flat for crying out loud. Then he landed on an island with a bunch of naked savages on it. I mean, that took a lot of guts. You remember when we went to Florida, the heat, and those bugs?
Well, like it took us to murder people and put them in chains.
he was a victim of his time.
Who cares? It's what he did.
He discovered America is what he did. He was a brave Italian explorer. And in this house, Christopher Columbus is a hero. End of story.
Flowers in her eye, he said, hi girl, fucking face.
Okay, so that was The Sopranos, and The Sopranos, you know, is an Italian-American family.
Nessa underscore Ramo, hi Mr.G and chat heart.
Hey Nessa, welcome. Go ahead and have a seat. Today we're learning about
Place
Christopher
yourself, Columbus
Columbus.
did not discover the Americas.
I hope you're having a good Columbus Day.
Talk a lot, what I learned, Columbus is a bad man.
Yes, Columbus was a bad man, and he didn't discover America. He was the first one to create a link because it was a very popular trip that was written about. Christopher Columbus, the inspiration that he had, the reason that he even knew the Americas existed, the reason Columbus knew the Americas existed because he was around shortly after the printing press. Christopher Columbus read about the Americas, and he was able to read about the Americas because of the printing press, which inspired him to go to America to get gold. So with the advent of the printing press, Christopher Columbus was able to read about the New World because they knew it was already over there, and nobody thought the world was flat. No intelligent person thought the world was flat. So Christopher Columbus first he tried to ask Italy for the money for the voyage, and they said no. Then he asked the United Kingdom, and they said no. Then he had France, and then he said no. Then like 10-15 years had passed until then he finally was like, okay, no one's gonna give me the money, so he took a job working for the Merchant Marines for Portugal, and then he thought that would get him a chance with the King of Portugal to give him the money for the voyage, but the King of Portugal wasn't interested. And the King of Portugal didn't believe that the Earth was smaller, and the King of Portugal was right. Christopher Columbus was wrong.
I shall celebrate today, but I don't because of certain things.
Christopher Columbus thought the Earth was a lot smaller than it was. So, but like I said, he was renowned as a great man.
The first printing press was made from a wine press.
We're going to go over a little bit more of this on Wednesday, on Psychology Wednesday. We're going to go over why everybody thought that Christopher Columbus was so great, and group thinking, and a group dynamic.
That's how I feel how we hold it. Let's underscore and there ain't no way in this
because the reason Christopher Columbus was revered, like I said, there was a lot of Italian Catholic Americans, and during the Chicago's World Fair during the turn of the century, it was based also on Christopher Columbus as well. There was Columbus butter, there was Columbus sausage, Columbus everything. Columbus TV show, CBS is the Columbus Broadcasting. Everything was named Columbus. Every street, so many streets, so many cities. I'm sure there's some cities if you're in North America that are named Columbus. And once again, Christopher Columbus was never even set foot in North America. Excuse me, hold on. But once again, he was also a terrible person. He was a con artist. He was wrong about the Earth being smaller than it was. He kidnapped the native people of Hispaniola. Over 50,000 of them died from disease and amputations. It was all about getting the gold. And he was such a bad guy that they even imprisoned him during that time. So, I mean, you had to be pretty bad to, be convicted back then. Just about anything went. So, the good things about him, he never gave up.
Nestor underscore unknown. I'm not separating Halloween either. It's cancelled here anyways, lol.
He succeeded in, crossing the, he succeeded in what he did. And like I said, he was revered for many years here in the United States. It's not until recently where he was in the last, 20 years, in particularly the last 10 years, after Howard Zinn's book, A Real History of the United States. I'll go ahead and write that on the board. It's an important book. I'm not saying I agree with everything in there, but if you ever take a college history class, it's going to come up. So that's...
Detroit, Michigan. Raising hands, medium dark skin tone.
Hey, Detroit. Howard Zinn.
Thumbs up, donates to Mr.G with text to speech. Thumbs up, page to TTS.
I'm sure Shoshin knows all about him.
Countryman, you'd be surprised that Nestor underscore unknown not here at 8. People are strange. Post is sent Columbus butter and sausage.
A history of the...
Countryman, at Nestor underscore unknown, they actually want their kids out and about. It's just lunacy, it really is.
A history of the United States. So, like I said, also, we say the Pledge of Allegiance because of Christopher Columbus.
96837.
That was that was part of the Columbus Day when I can't believe I got so upset there. I'm sorry, Lord Hines. I got upset there when you asked me why they have Columbus Day. Anyways, one of the aspects of Columbus Day when it was initiated
Yes, sir, I do.
as a federal holiday in 1937 was
Mr.G, can I ask a presidential election question?
students were required. Yes, you can ask a question, Pirate King. Students were required to say the Pledge of Allegiance.
Wait,
Now-
so Columbus is a dead meaning.
Now, as you can see, as today's quote, I think it's
Dennis
from,
Lepedus. I started reading his books after hearing about you in an NOFX song.
oh, hey, Shoshin. So today's quote, I think it's from Batman Dark Knight. I couldn't think of a better quote that describes, Christopher Columbus better. You either die a hero or you live long enough to become a villain. Well, Christopher Columbus, he was a hero for a good while, and then he finally became the villain, and his bad deeds finally caught up with him. All right, I think we've basically been over everything. Hey, Google, play some...
You don't have to say if you don't want to, but I was curious.
Okay,
Super, I
asking
was wondering
Pandora
about
to play some music.
Pirate King, I like that quote.
Thank you, Pirate King. So, what was I going to say?
Big block, submark. Countryman, speaking of lunacy and the term lunatic, it coincides with the moon's phases, and this time we will indeed have a full moon. 19-year cycles, bewitching work out to pagan fanatics.
So, guys,
Thanks, Mr. G.
you're welcome, Flowers. I think we went over basically everything.
Big block.
You probably have a much better idea. I'm sorry, the only thing I regret is getting upset
Mr.
there.
J, the mermaid mom.
But it really hurts my feelings
Hand slapping, hand slapping, hand slapping, hand slapping,
when,
hand slapping, hand slapping.
it hurts my feelings
Talking about Chester Colbert.
when my credibility is
What they
questioned.
taught in schools about Columbus is wrong.
It's like, man, come on, man. Like, I did do some research and shit, But anyways, we're going to play one more clip. This is from a cartoon. Hey, Google, pause music. This is from a misinformation cartoon, like what they would play, like Tony Soprano when he was a kid.
Places and public schools were created by Nazis.
Oh, really?
Countryman, scratch a lot, everything. No, I would mess around the school rabbit, didn't learn nothing about him until I did my own research.
So tomorrow on Tuesday on U.S. History, we're going to learn more about Christopher Columbus. This lecture is actually going to continue into Tuesday and Wednesday.
Next sublime 19. Clown face, clown face, clown face.
Wednesday for Psychology Wednesday, we're going to talk about Christopher Columbus briefly, mainly how Christopher Columbus relates towards group thinking and going along with the crowd.
My God, send packages of nice things to Mr. G to PO Box 37,305.
Because these Christopher Columbus, his brutal kidnapping, his murders, his being wrong about the Earth being smaller than it was, this was all documented, and it was just the teachers teaching misinformation to kids, saying that Christopher Columbus was a great person. They were saying that Christopher Columbus,
You are from Potosi, said that it was the first one to implement public educational institutions widespread in the lower mid-1930s.
Christopher Columbus, they lied. They said that he thought he knew the Earth was round and everyone else thought it was flat. That's not true. He came and said, "Oh, the natives were so nice," and they gave him gifts.
Yeah, my school didn't talk about it much.
So often, Christopher Columbus was put on a pedestal incorrectly, right? So this is an old classic cartoon. Sorry. So this is what they used to teach kids about Christopher Columbus.
Exactly.
500 years ago, there were people on both sides of the Atlantic Ocean, but neither knew about the other. On the western side, our side, the people had reddish-brown skins and lived in huts or wigwams. On the eastern side, in Europe, the people were white-skinned. They had learned how to build houses and large sailing ships, but they still didn't know much about the rest of the world. In fact, most of them believed the earth was flat. Then one day, a map maker named Christopher Columbus had an idea.
Do you know what? I think the world isn't flat at all. I think it's round like a ball. Did you hear what he said? Did you hear what he said? He said that the world is round.
This didn't happen.
I think the world isn't flat at all. I think it's round like a ball. The world is flat as the brim of your hat, and that is very plain. I know that I'm right, oh, I know that I'm right when I say that the world is round. Oh, I'm right, I'm right. My thinking is sound and I'll prove the world's round. It won't take very long.
But it did take long, 7 long years, before Columbus could convince a king or a queen to let him try out his idea. Then Queen Isabella of Spain agreed to supply the ships and men for his trip.
I will discover a shortcut to India and bring back some of the great wealth I find there.
And I can do it, for I know the world is round. And instead of going east to India, I shall sail west and reach India around the other way. It will be a shorter and cheaper way, for I'll do it all by sea. Queen Isabella provided Columbus with 3 ships, the Nina, the Pinta, and the Santa Maria.
Oh, 3 ships.
And on August 3rd, 1492, they set sail across
And what day did they land? October 12th, 2020, today. October 12th, 2020, Columbus Day. Why do we celebrate it on October 12th? Because that was the day that he actually landed on Hispaniola.
The ships sailed onward, but 2 long months after they started, there was still no sign of land ahead.
Turn back, Columbus! Turn back, Columbus!
We'll not turn back until we find India. Onward, men! By October 10th, the sailors and the crew were ready to take matters into their own hands.
If Columbus won't do as we ask, we'll put him in chains. And we'll turn the ships around ourselves.
Wait!
That's actually true. He almost got mutiny on the Bounty.
What of it?
It had fresh berries on it.
That means when you land.
Hooray! 2 days later, the ships reached land, and Columbus and his crew saw the people with reddish-brown skins who lived there.
Oh, I think it is rather surprising that they should have reddish-brown skins. But now since we have landed in India, then these people must be Indians.
We'll call this part of India San Salvador, and I take possession of it in the name of the King and Queen of Spain. The people Columbus called Indians.
So that's actually the one accurate part of that is the where he actually landed was San Salvador.
Countryman, a hostess Airport, worked hand in hand with German media and was a supporter of the party himself and an investor in promoting its ideologies.
San Salvador.
Countryman, not many know that.
So instead of just going off, we'll end this on a positive note. We'll try to say a couple nice things about Christopher Columbus. One thing is.
My teacher told me everything.
Well, like I said,
got wrong by James Owen.
That's a good book. That's a great book that you suggested there. One thing I can say is during this time in Europe, Spain was being attacked by Muslim invaders. This is a touchy subject. We're not in Europe. I guess I wouldn't be able to even mention it there.
Countryman, Walt Disney himself was hired to create
But it is kind of like, you see what's going on now with Muslim immigration in Europe. But during this time period, the Muslims were invading Europe and they were brutal, taking over the entire continent. And what Columbus did was he rejuvenated, re-energized his base. No, he re-energized Europe because there was this new giant country full of all this new stuff. So during the, this is a little bit more interesting. During his first voyage, like I said, he took the 3 ships to the Americas, but there were all these new things, and so he brought them back. He brought back, I think, like pineapple. I know he brought back tobacco. Nobody in Europe. Oh, it's okay, Tabulan. It should be not. The VOD should be up. Good to see you, Tabulan. Aloha. But yeah, he brought back tobacco. That's really interesting. Coffee as well. I think chocolate too. So Christopher Columbus did do some things. He also brought back enslaved indigenous people, which is horrible. But he also brought back chocolate and coffee and gold, but also tobacco too. You know, there was this story about the tobacco. Christopher Columbus, the 39 men that were on Hispaniola died on his first voyage. But during his second voyage, there's this other story. This island near Hispaniola. Some of his men were left on that island, like 5 men or something. And then a ship came out close to his second ship. During his second voyage, Christopher Columbus's ship came near that random island, and the sailors, they saw the ship and they knew that he was going to another island, so they swam out there. And then Columbus went over and was like, "Oh, you want food and water? Come on board." And then he's like, "No, we want tobacco, you know." They're like, "We need tobacco." And then Columbus is like, "What the fuck? You know, tobacco?" You know, but tobacco, it was used by the Native Americans, not by Europeans. It wasn't discovered by Europeans until Columbus made this adventure. And it's the same with coffee and chocolate too. So, you know, those are things that are common to our lives. But also, the Europeans, they traded. They had things that the indigenous people never had seen before. In particular, firearms, gunpowder, muskets, more powerful weapons. And like I said, like we discussed earlier, they were brutal.
Cigarette.
They were brutal, and they totally killed so many 50,000 Native Americans during these Columbus's voyages, and they were brutal. And he was a horrible, brutal person. Like I said, you can say the things you want about him. He did. A lot of times in life, you want to take people's good qualities and learn from them, but you also want to take their bad qualities and learn from them. So Christopher Columbus was very industrious, and he had a go-get-em type attitude. He never gave up, but also he was a horrible person. He was a horrible person and a product of his time. And so now, should his statues be torn apart and have red blood poured all over them? I think that has more to do with political affiliation than somebody actually disliking Christopher Columbus. They heard he was a bad guy, but they didn't go and do all the research or anything. They just heard he's a bad guy, and Trump is bad too. So let's pour a bunch of red paint. I don't know. It's sad. They're Christopher Columbus is one thing, but now they're also taking down statues of Teddy Roosevelt, and I heard an Abraham Lincoln statue was ripped down the other day. I don't know what to say, but anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed the class. I'm actually gonna make some banana bread. I think I have so many baking goods. I just want to bake something. So I might take a break here and go live again on YouTube and make some banana bread. If not, then I'll definitely see you guys tomorrow. It's been a really great class here. I hope you guys learned about Christopher Columbus. We'll go over more History Tuesday tomorrow. We'll go over Columbus again. And on Wednesday, we're going to talk about the power of group dynamics and how easy it is people fall in line with the group. All right, guys. I'll talk to you guys later.
Mr. G, Kitty's Big Block, Lita, Shoshan, Flowers, Stella, Nessa, Easy, Sunshine, and Chat. Simon, Cat with Cat Eyes Wearing Heart.
Thanks, guys.
OMG, yes, Osis.
I hope I see make
Melanie
you.
Herrera, GM, Mr. G, and Chat.
I hope you all make it to class tomorrow. I have another wonderful lecture lined up for you guys. So make sure and join me in a little while. We're gonna bake some banana bread, possibly. Thanks again. It's been a fun stream, GX School. I hope you guys are enjoying this as much as I am. I love teaching, and so I love to see you guys here every day. And I love to see you guys in class, ready to learn. Sweet dreams, everybody. And hey, you guys have a good night. I'll talk to you guys later. Aloha, everybody.
Countryman, good talk with you. Let's around the school around. It was fun.
Thanks, Countryman. Stop by class anytime. It was good welcoming. You're welcome here in the class or anytime, Countryman. And any new faces, you're always welcome in class here. Send this to your friends. My social media is in the description. Link it somewhere. Send it to anybody. Education is in demand right now. Teachers are in demand right now. And I'm providing the service for free. So if you know anybody that's interested in learning, if you have any students, any old friends from school that, they miss going to class, they miss going to school, since everything's been shut down, then send them this way, because this is what we do Monday through Friday, same time, every weekday. And I put a lot into this. I appreciate all the viewers too.
Good night.
Good night, Tabby Lynn. You're welcome too. Everybody have a good night. Aloha, everybody.